If you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
That's P. Diddy in a resurfaced interview, flexing about how he used to lock women in during his freaky parties back in the day. Now those same parties, and the footage from them, are coming back to haunt him in court, with explicit clips playing for the jury, witness testimony piling up, and federal agents digging deeper by the day. Diddy's starting to unravel. Word is, he even told the judge he was nervous. A lot is going down in this trial, and it's not looking good. Let's get into it. Inside Diddy's notorious freak-offs. Word on the street is that Sean Diddy Combs reportedly lost his composure, his face showing pure panic as the receipts from his legendary gatherings were finally put on blast for everyone to see. Now, we don't know exactly what's in that footage since the trial's going down with no cameras allowed, but what's crystal clear is that the streets have been buzzing about Diddy's private functions for years. The chatter reached a whole new level when some old interview clips resurfaced, showing Puffy himself breaking down the vibes at his gatherings in a way that hits different now that he's facing serious charges. Check how casually he was flexing about locking women in at his parties back in 2002, talking that slick talk that now sounds mad suspicious.
They just, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
The interviewer caught that sketchy energy immediately, saying it sounded kind of dangerous. But Diddy wasn't even trying to pull back. Instead, he doubled down, talking about creating an environment designed to lower inhibitions.
It's a little kinky, but rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat? You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning?
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose.
Real talk. These comments from back in the day hit different now with all the serious allegations Puffy's facing. But to really understand the full scope of what's being alleged, we gotta break down the two different types of functions Diddy was known for throwing. On the legit tip, you had his famous white parties, running from 1998 to 2009 in bougie spots like the Hamptons, Saint-Tropez, and Beverly Hills. These were high-profile joints with an all-white dress code, pure opulence, and guest lists stacked with A-listers. Mariah Carey, Hav, Beyonce, and even Martha Stewart pulled up. The 1998 Hamptons Bash alone had 1,000 heads in attendance, and later ones often had charity angles, like the 2009 Malaria No More event he co-hosted with Ashton Kutcher. But behind the scenes, allegedly, was a whole different type of function, the notorious freak-offs. These were supposedly private multi-day events described as straight-up sex parties featuring multiple sex workers, heavy drug use including X, Yayo, and K, plus all kinds of explicit activities. According to multiple allegations, these went down in private cribs, luxury hotel suites, and yachts, with invites only through Diddy's inner circle. Word is, these functions were infamous for drugging people, coercion, and intimidation tactics. Usher, who lived with Combs when he was just a youngin', has spoken on what that environment was like, saying it was pretty wild, even though he was too young to fully grasp what he was witnessing.
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. But I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
Years later, when asked if he'd ever let his own kid experience Puffy Camp, Usher wasn't having it.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
But probably the most detailed firsthand account we've got comes from a woman named Tanea, who spilled all the tea to Mark Leda for his Soft White Underbelly channel. She claims she hit one of these freak-offs in December 2022 and described the tight security measures they had in place.
Security guard patted us down. They put our phone in this little bubble case. So the bubble case is closed. They can't get unlocked until we walk out. So as we're in there, the only way of us taking any type of pictures is if we get in the photo booth. He has like a Team Love photo booth or whatever.
According to Tanea, the vibe at the function was mad wild from jump, with folks just walking around naked and liquor flowing everywhere.
So the sun is like coming up and people are walking around naked, period. Let's get into it. They're walking around naked already and they're in the pool skinny dipping. And they're drinking mimosas in the pool, but then it's like a waitress walking around giving people drinks, just passing people drinks, and people are just taking them.
What she claims she saw inside the crib was on another level, straight out of some wild movie scene.
This corner, this got going on. This corner, they over here doing this. This corner, they over there having. This corner, I'm just gonna say, because I don't know what I can say, because I'm not trying to be incriminating myself, but they were dressed up like little Harajuku Barbies.
Like what?
Little people, okay? We're not gonna say what type of little people, but like a fetish.
The most disturbing part of Tanea's story is how she felt like she might have been set up to be trafficked. But then I put two and two together, like, the prince has been saying your life is never going to be the same. You're going to be happy. Somebody's expecting you. And I just feel like that was the time that I was going to get sex trafficked or, drugged or something like that. Not everybody who rolled through. Diddy's Functions claims they witnessed anything suspect, though. Amber Rose, when she was on Club Shay Shay, said she hit up Mad Diddy parties but never saw or got invited to any alleged freak-offs. Amber's story suggests that not everyone in Diddy's circle was plugged into these alleged freak-offs, indicating that he might have been super selective about who got the exclusive invite. Some heavy hitters in the game flat out avoided Diddy's Functions altogether. 50 Cent told The Hollywood Reporter in July 2024 that he stayed away because of the uncomfortable energy, even mentioning that some people stayed quiet because of tapes. On a podcast in September 2024, Fifth said he preferred basic normal over all that freaky shit. Cat Williams, always keeping it a buck, said on a podcast in January 2024 that he refused to attend to protect his integrity and virgin hole, and even called the whole Diddy downfall before it happened. From all these different accounts, what's becoming clear is that Diddy was allegedly running two separate operations: the public-facing white parties that cemented his status as a cultural icon, and the private, allegedly exploitative freak-offs that are now the focus of serious criminal charges. According to multiple testimonies, these functions allegedly involved careful selection of who could enter which areas, confiscation of phones, and an environment heavy with drug use and sexual activity. Tom Swoop claimed in June 2024 that people were snorting X and Yayo off each other's bodies at white parties, with different levels of access leading to private rooms where wild stuff allegedly went down, sometimes with promises of money or record deals. The contrast between these different stories paints a disturbing picture of a double life: the public image of star-studded bashes and the private reality of what allegedly went down behind closed doors. If the rumors about that courtroom footage are true, the jury might be seeing first-hand evidence of these private gatherings right now, which would explain why Diddy reportedly looked like he was about to pass out. What makes these allegations especially wild is how organized they sound. The phone lockdown, the selective invites, the drug distribution, all of this points to a calculated operation rather than some spontaneous wild night. This systematic nature is key to the prosecution's case against Diddy, especially for the racketeering charge, which requires evidence of an organized criminal enterprise. The allegations surrounding these parties have moved from internet gossip to federal courtroom evidence, with serious legal consequences. If the prosecution can prove that these freak-offs were sites of coercion, drugging, and exploitation, they could establish the pattern of criminal behavior needed to get convictions on the most serious charges. What started as exclusive, high-profile gatherings that helped build Diddy's reputation as the ultimate host have now become central to his potential downfall, with the private moments he allegedly captured now possibly being displayed in a federal courtroom where the stakes are life or death. From music mogul to defendant, Diddy's arrest and indictment. The fall from hip-hop royalty to federal detention is brutal, but that's exactly the path Sean Diddy Combs has been on since late 2023. While the wild parties we broke down are the backdrop for many of the allegations against him, it was a bombshell lawsuit from his ex that really kicked off the chain of events leading to his current legal nightmare. The turning point hit on November 16, 2023, when Cassie Ventura, who was Diddy's main squeeze for a decade, filed a lawsuit that shook his empire to its foundation. The 35-page filing accused Combs of rape, sex trafficking, and physical abuse throughout their relationship from 2007 to 2018. Cassie claimed she was trapped in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking, including a 2018 rape after she tried to bounce from the relationship. In a move that had everybody scratching their heads, the lawsuit was settled out of court just one day after filing, on November 17, 2023. While nobody knows how much bread changed hands, this quick settlement didn't squash the drama. It just made things pop off even harder. The speedy resolution might have been Diddy trying to kill the noise, but it had the opposite effect. According to the podcast, The Rise and Fall of Diddy by Law and Crime, Cassie had offered to settle privately before filing, but negotiations fell through, forcing her to take it public. This tactical error blew the lid off everything, as by November 2024, at least 28 more lawsuits had been filed against Diddy. What initially seemed like one isolated situation quickly revealed itself to be, according to the accusers, part of a pattern spanning decades. Allegations ranged from a 1991 claim by Joy Dickerson Neal that Combs drugged and sexually assaulted her to a 2000 accusation from a then 13-year-old Jane Doe, who claimed Combs violated her at a Video Music Awards afterparty. Perhaps the most significant lawsuit after Cassie's came from producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones in February 2024. Jones sued for $30 million, alleging sexual harassment, drugging, and threats during his time working on Diddy's album, The Love Album Off the Grid, from September 2022 to November 2023. His 73-page filing included claims that Combs got handsy with him, that he was drugged and assaulted, and that Combs forced him to hire sex workers and participate in sexual activities with them. As these civil cases piled up, the feds started paying attention. On March 25, 2024, they executed a series of raids on Diddy's cribs in Los Angeles and Miami as part of a sex trafficking investigation. These raids yielded major evidence that would later support the criminal case against him. During these searches, law enforcement seized AR-15 style heat, extended clips, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, allegedly linked to the freak-off parties described by numerous accusers. The discovery of all that baby oil had people talking, with speculation running wild about what was going down at these gatherings. Amber Rose, while claiming she never witnessed anything inappropriate at Diddy's functions, acknowledged she'd heard about these allegations regarding items seized during the raids.
You think it's a plot because we saw it happen with Russell Simmons, now we see it happen with P. Diddy? You think it is a plot or a ploy to take down prominent, high-powered black men?
I don't know. It really depends on the evidence, right? Because they did say that there were drugs in the baby oil. I don't know, that's alleged.
The situation escalated dramatically on September 16, 2024, when Diddy got snatched up by federal agents at a Manhattan hotel following a grand jury indictment. The U.S. Department of Justice hit him with charges including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation for purposes of prostitution. These charges alleged a pattern of criminal activity spanning from 2008 to the present, with potential sentences including life in prison. The indictment painted a wild picture of an organized criminal enterprise led by Combs, involving not just sex trafficking, but also forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Prosecutors alleged that Combs was abusing women, forcing them into days-long sexual activities with male sex workers called freak-offs, using violence, intimidation, narcotics, financial control, and threats. Since his arrest, Diddy has been held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, deemed a serious flight risk by the court. His bail requests have been denied multiple times despite his legal team going hard for his release, leaving him to prepare for trial from behind bars. What makes the criminal case particularly strong, according to legal experts, is the pattern of behavior alleged across multiple incidents and victims. The racketeering charge, in particular, requires evidence of an ongoing criminal enterprise, rather than isolated incidents, something the prosecution believes it can prove through the testimony of multiple accusers and evidence gathered during the raids. Perhaps the most damning piece of evidence to emerge during this period was not from the raids, but from surveillance footage. In May 2024, CNN released video from 2016 showing Combs physically assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway, corroborating her earlier claims. The video showed him grabbing, shoving, and kicking her, evidence that drastically shifted public perception. Following the release of this footage, Diddy issued a public apology, taking full responsibility for his actions. This video evidence revealed a pattern that would become central to the prosecution's case: Diddy's alleged habit of recording his activities. Multiple lawsuits claimed that Diddy recorded sexual encounters without consent, and sometimes used these recordings as leverage or distributed them without permission. By October 2024, lawyer Tony Busby announced over 100 new assault allegations against Diddy, including 25 minors, with cases like a 9-year-old victim. By February 2025, 10 more lawsuits were filed before the Gender-Motivated Violence Act deadline, including claims by a male escort and Kirk Burroughs. Throughout this period, Combs has consistently denied the claims, often labeling them as money grabs or false and defamatory. In December 2023, he posted on Instagram, "I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name," and his lawyers dismissed many lawsuits as pure fiction. The legal strategy employed by Diddy's defense squad evolved as the case progressed. Initially, they tried to get many of the lawsuits dismissed, describing them as vague, shameless, and filled with lurid theatrics. When that approach flopped for many of the claims, they switched to arguing that the relationships were consensual, suggesting Diddy led a swinger lifestyle where having multiple sex partners, including sex workers, was just his thing. They also filed motions claiming racial targeting, particularly regarding the transportation charge under the Mann Act of 1910, arguing it has historically been used against black individuals. However, these motions have been unsuccessful so far. As the criminal case moved toward trial, Diddy rejected a plea deal offered by prosecutors, choosing to fight the charges in court. This decision shows he's determined to contest the allegations, despite the mountain of evidence and testimony piling up against him. On May 5th, 2025, the trial officially kicked off with jury selection at the Daniel Patrick Moynihan Courthouse in Lower Manhattan. The proceedings are expected to last between 8 to 10 weeks, with opening statements scheduled for May 12, 2025, assuming jury selection wraps up as planned. Jury selection has been a challenge, with reports indicating difficulties in reaching a pool of 45 qualified prospective jurors. As of May 7, 2025, 35 prospective jurors were qualified, with the judge aiming to add 10 more to proceed to peremptory strikes and seat the jury. Potential jurors have been questioned about their knowledge of the case, including exposure to media like the documentary The Fall of Diddy, and provided a list of over 100 places and people to check for potential biases. As witnesses take the stand and evidence gets presented in the coming weeks, the full extent of the alleged misconduct will be exposed for the jury to evaluate. The rise, fall, and lasting impact of a hip-hop empire. Diddy's come up began in the early 90s as a talent director at Uptown Records, where he showed mad skills at spotting and developing fresh artists. In 1993, he launched Bad Boy Records, a label that became a cornerstone of 90s hip-hop, signing and promoting artists like Mary J. Blige, Usher, and the Notorious Big. His debut album as an artist, No Way Out, 1997, was a major milestone, hitting #1 on the Billboard 200 and moving over 7 million units in the US. The album had bangers like I'll Be Missing You, a tribute to Biggie, which became the first hip-hop track to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Beyond the music game, Diddy expanded into fashion with Sean John in 1998, which bodied the competition and won Menswear Designer of the Year in 2004. He got into the liquor hustle, serving as the face of Ciroc Vodka from 2007 to 2023 and putting money into De Leon Tequila and Aqua Hydrate. In 2013, he co-founded Revolt Media and TV, further diversifying his paper. His business moves had him topping Forbes' hip-hop rich list in 2014 and 2017, with an estimated net worth of $1 billion by 2022, showing he was winning across multiple industries. Diddy's achievements are no joke, showing his major influence in music and beyond. He holds the Guinness World Record for most successful rap producer in 1997, having produced singles that charted for 36 consecutive weeks. His music milestones include being the first rapper with 5 US #1 singles and the first solo artist to replace himself at the top of the Billboard Hot 100. He's got 3 Grammys on his shelf, including Best Rap Album for No Way Out in 1998, plus 3 BET Awards and 2 MTV Video Music Awards. In 2008, he became the first male rapper to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. His philanthropy was major too, dropping $1 million on Howard University in 2016 to establish the Sean Combs Scholarship Fund, and pledging another milli each to Howard and Jackson State University in 2022 during his BET Lifetime Achievement Award acceptance speech. He even raised $2 million for New York's educational system by running the New York City Marathon in 2003. But even during his rise to the top, Diddy was always catching cases. His legal troubles go back to the 90s, with incidents that hinted at the more serious allegations he's facing now. In 1996, he caught a conviction for criminal mischief after threatening a New York Post photographer with a burner. In 1999, he got locked up for weapons violations during the Club New York shooting involving Shine and J. Locama, though he beat that case. That same year, he put hands on record exec Steve Stout, pleading guilty to harassment and getting sentenced to 1 day of anger management. These early incidents, while troubling, were often written off as typical wild behavior from a young star in the hip-hop game, but they established a pattern that would continue throughout his career. As Diddy's success grew, so did the whispers about his personal behavior, especially at his private functions. These rumors stayed mostly underground until late 2023, when Cassie Ventura's lawsuit brought everything to light and opened the floodgates for more accusations. What's particularly wild about the allegations against Diddy is how consistent they are across decades. From Joy Dickerson Neal's claim of being drugged and assaulted in 1991 to Rodney Jones's allegation allegations of misconduct in 2022 to 2023, a pattern emerges of similar tactics allegedly used over a span of more than 30 years. This long history of alleged misconduct raises questions about how Diddy managed to maintain his public image and business empire despite these rumors and incidents. Part of the answer lies in his carefully crafted persona as a charismatic, ambitious entrepreneur, the embodiment of hip-hop's get-money mentality. Diddy's self-presentation as a driven, success-oriented figure is evident in clips like this one from 2016, where he describes himself as a savage who gets whatever he wants.
I got my MTV out. Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get! Yes! What's next? What's next? I gotta get it. I'm not gonna stay down. I'm not gonna stay lying down. I'm not. I can't do that, man. I can't do that. What's next? Give me something else.
This aggressive determination to succeed at all costs may have helped propel him to the top of the music industry, but in retrospect, it takes on a darker meaning given the allegations against him. Another factor in Diddy's ability to maintain his image was the power he wielded in the industry. Many accusers claim they stayed silent for years out of fear of retaliation, believing that Diddy's connections and influence could end their careers if they spoke out. Tanea expressed this concern directly in her interview.
We know his past, like Shine, the rapper, being in jail because of him. Like, don't think just because I'm from where I'm from, you could just do anything. And that's why I never really said nothing about it, because I just feel like, who am I? He got money, like, ain't nobody gonna believe me.
The impact of the allegations and criminal charges on Diddy's career and legacy has been swift and devastating. Howard University snatched back his honorary doctorate on June 7, 2024, and returned his $1 million donation. New York City took back the key to the city they gave him in September 2023, and Miami-Dade County canceled Sean Diddy Combs Day, which they established in 2016. Radio stations started editing songs to cut references to Diddy, with some stations completely pulling his music from rotation. His business partnerships dissolved, with brands distancing themselves from the troubled mogul faster than you can say bad boy for life. The cultural reassessment of Diddy goes beyond his personal behavior to his business practices and role in the music industry. Some critics have pointed to his history of allegedly shady business dealings with artists, suggesting that the alleged personal misconduct was part of a broader pattern of using power to exploit others. This reassessment is happening against the backdrop of a larger conversation about accountability in the entertainment industry. The allegations against Diddy came to light after the #MeToo movement had already created space for victims to be heard, at a time when the public and legal systems were more receptive to claims of sexual misconduct by powerful figures. The timing of these revelations is significant in another way too. Diddy had reached the pinnacle of his success, achieving billionaire status and receiving prestigious honors like the BET Lifetime Achievement Award. The contrast between these achievements and the allegations against him couldn't be more stark. This duality, the public image of a successful businessman and philanthropist versus the private reality alleged by accusers, mirrors the contrast between his public white parties and private freak-offs. In both cases, what was presented to the world appears to have been carefully curated to hide a darker reality. The trial of Sean Diddy Combs represents more than just the legal proceedings against one individual. It potentially signals a reckoning with long-standing issues of power, exploitation, and accountability in the entertainment industry. The case raises questions about who knew what and when, and whether others in Diddy's circle were complicit in or turned a blind eye to the alleged misconduct. If you love this video, click on the card showing on your screen for more videos like this.